Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of the Brothers War. Without further ado, let's just get into it. We see a pretty powerful Planeswalker, so we'll scoop up the pretty powerful Planeswalker. You can scry 1, tap and untap the artifact you control and draw a card for the +1. You can -2 to get 2 1/1s with flying and give them haste. So those two abilities alone are already pretty good. And it's not that hard to get to 4 loyalty for the emblem, which gives all of your artifacts +1/+1 and reduces their casting costs by 1. So Saheeli's a pretty strong card. We're happy to pick one, pack one, and see if we can play her. The other thing is there's a good amount of random mana fixing in the format, mainly out of retro-framed artifacts. So even if we're only in red or only in blue, we could splash in the other half, and she'd be pretty reasonable. So we're going to roll with her there.
Win or lose.
And today's video is going to be a very chill draft. I am a little bit under the weather today with an ear infection, so I'm a bit drugged up and a bit out of it in general. So my apologies if there's going to be a little bit less commentary today, and definitely a little lower energy today. We are going to scoop up an Excavation Explosion here as a very solid follow-up to Saheeli, one of the best red commons. A very good removal spell that also sets you up with that Powerstone for future mana and more. Yep, that's pretty easily the pick. Some more notable cards like Stern Lesson and Blast Runner, Paratrooper, but Explosion's probably the best card in the pack, and it's definitely the best to follow up a Saheeli. Pick 3. Strongest card in the pack, likely Obstinate Baloth. 4 mana 4/4 that gains 4 life when we play it. Kayla's Reconstruction is pretty good as well for aggressive white decks where most of your cards are mana value 3 or less anyway. But it is triple white, so it'd be really hard to play in a deck with Explosion and Saheeli. Could take Elsewhere Flask here for just solid mana fixing that'll end up in any deck we go with, just be nice and open. Pretty happy to do that. It's mainly for me between Elsewhere Flask, which will end up in our deck no matter what, or Obstinate Baloth, which could be good if we go green-red splash blue or green-blue splash red. But I'm just going to take Elsewhere Flask because it's going to fit into everything we do. Nice open pick for this early in the draft. Pack 1, pick 4, we do have a Mightstone's animation, which is solid with Powerstone tokens like we can get off of Excavation Explosion, and solid with random non-creature artifacts like Elsewhere Flask. One of blue's better commons. Does take a little bit of synergy to get it going, but 4 mana for a 4/4 and draw a card is a tremendously good deal if you can get it to work out for you. So I think it's one of the better cards in the pack, and we can roll with it. Goes well with Saheeli as well, turning a Thopter into a 4/4 flyer. Other great cards in the pack are cards like Gaia's Gift in green. Has just a tremendously good combat trick. That's about it. Better Union's fine. Lay Down Arms is fine, but we'll go for Mightstone's animation. Pack 1, pick 5. We do have a Self-Assembler, which is a good enough deal that it can fit into pretty much any deck as long as you draft 1 or 2 of the other random assembly workers. Neither of those are really high picks at all by themselves, but they go up a lot in value when you have Self-Assembler, because a 5 mana 4/4 that draws you another 5 mana 4/4, or a 5 mana 4/4 that draws you a 2 mana 2/1 are both a really good deal. So I actually like Self-Assembler quite a bit, and I've never gotten to play it in this format, I think. So I'm just going to scoop it up here, and we'll grab one of the random 5 mana 4/4s or something to go with it. My apologies about that. I did not know my phone was on that loud. Let me silence that real quick. Other picks are like Powerstone Fracture mainly as great removal in black, but we'll go for Self-Assembler, stick to what we have for now. Pendragon Strongbull has a lot of cards that synergize super well with it in this format. Cheap artifacts, Powerstone producers, and active treason effects. It's a pretty premium red creature, and I'm happy to take it here. We're mainly taking it over Weakstone Subjugation, and that is actually pretty fierce competition. 4 mana to tap a permanent down, an artifact or creature, and leave it tapped. Or just 1 mana to keep something tapped down. Both pretty good deals as a removal spell. You know what, that's actually close enough competition. I might go for Subjugation over Strongbow. Super close, but I find removal pretty important in the format. We'll go for Subjugation. My apologies. It has now been muted. We have Combat Courier as pretty easily the best card here. A good Unearth. Pack 1, pick 7 now is going to be a pretty easy pick. Combat Courier is just really good in the blue decks. Very nice card to cycle into some decent value. Juggernaut's a fine finisher. Bitter Union's okay card draw, but Courier's exceptional. Cheap card draw that also synergizes well with like Mightstone's animation, turn our 1/1 into a 4/4 or something like that. Giant Cindermaw is very easily the pick in pick 8. An absurdly large creature for its mana cost, a 3-mana 4/3 trample. The rest is just gravy there. Sword of the Meek can do some fun combos in constructed formats, but not a lot to do with it in limited. Stalwart is a very good mana fixer in green, but we're doing a pretty great job just being blue-red here, and it looks open enough seeing a pick 8 Cindermaw, so I think we just stick to Saheeli and just go for a nice blue-red build here. Best card in this pack is a Powerstone Fracture, which is tempting. Goblin Blast Runner is not bad at all either. We already have an Elsewhere Flask that works with it, a Combat Courier that works with it, and if we wheel some Penregan Strongbulls, that's a card that works really well with it. Could be a very aggressive blue-red deck here with some sack synergies. I could see that. Top 3 for me in this pack being Fracture, Wings, and Blast Runner, but I'm interested in maybe being a blue-red sack deck. Doesn't happen a lot, but could be quite good. Now we have Blast Runner competing with Juggernaut and Stern Lesson. All 3 of these are exceptional. Do love me some instant speed card draw. Triggers any of our draw 2 kind of spells. Blast Runner can be fun to try to get to work, but I don't want to go that deep on taking a ton right off the bat. I think I will take Stern Lesson here. Nice instant speed card draw. Now we take Evolving Wilds, which synergizes with Goblin Blast Runner, as well as being solid mana fixing in general. I'm not going to play any of these cards. I guess if I get pushed to white, Discipline is an okay trick. Urza's Rebuff and Desynchronize are both just fine. I'll go Desynchronize here. Nice big way to slow your opponent down. I'm not going to main deck Raise to the ground. And we'll see what we've got in pack 2. Didn't really open up anything good for our blue-red deck in pack 2, but to be fair, we didn't really open up anything good, period. I think my favorite card in this pack is like Warlord's Elite in white, and that's not a very high pick for me. I guess we have a Coastal Bulwark if we want to be blocking well in the early game. A Machine over Matter is a very efficient trick for any deck with a lot of artifact creatures. Or an Archaeologist or Blast Runner or another Evolving Wild, something like that. A bunch of cards that aren't really pick one-able, but don't have much of another choice. I guess I could take Soul Guide Lantern for another artifact I can just cycle out. Or I can just slap a Mightstone animation onto it. Also triggers Goblin Blast Runner, which is nice. I'll take the Soul Guide Lantern. Pack 2, pick 2. The best card in this pack is Boulder Branch Golem. But Chromatic Star is another nice wide open pick that is not bad at all. And I'm happy to scoop it up. Getting a good amount of just random, dirtily non-creature artifacts. Pretty happy with. Well, this is a pack that makes me very happy to be in red, seeing both Obliterating Bolt and Excavation Explosion in the same pack. These cards are both very, very good. I'm going to go for the Excavation Explosion because we do have great ways to use the Power Stones, particularly Mightstone's animation, but Obliterating Bolt is the better, like, just straight up removal spell. Explosion is just a little more flexible because there's some ways to use the Power Stone it produces. You can use it as ramp, you can use it as sacrificial fodder or Mightstone's animation fodder, and with explosion you can also shoot the face. So again, Bolt more efficient. In a vacuum, the better card, but I think we've got some stuff we can use that Powerstone for pretty well here. Now we've got a Rock Hunter, nice filler 2-drop, seems fine by me. I have some mana fixing, but not enough that I want to try to splash in a double off-color card with a white-black card, as good as Hero of the Dunes is. Yeah, I think we just take the random aggressive dork here. Rock Hunter it is. Scrapwork Mutt is easily the pick. This card is phenomenal. 2 mana, 2/1. You get to discard a card and draw a card when it hits the board. You can do it again by unearthing it later. Excellent, excellent card. Very happy to see that one. We're a pretty aggressive looking blue-red deck here. Here comes another Dirtly artifact that it is exceptional to put a Mightstone's animation on. The Ichor Wellspring, 2 mana, draw a card, then slap an animation on it. You've got a 4/4 that draws you a card when it dies, and when it enters the battlefield, because when you play the Mightstone's animation, you draw a card. So Wellspring seems super good here. It's also great if we can pick up a Strong Bull or 2. The other main option being Whirling Strike, a very nice red combat trick, but loving our Powerstone synergies. Ooh, wow. Again, I think I'm really happy to be in blue-red in this draft pod, although green's still looking pretty open with a nice late Stalwart there. And problem here is we're having to pick some premium cards at the same time. So Levitating Statue is really good with Mightstone's animation. You make it a 4/4 with all those +1/+1 counters on it, but there's also the Strong Bull, which works super well with our Blast Runner. But I'm going to go for the Levitating Statue. But that was a really hard choice between the two, because those were both excellent synergy pieces. Wow, another Energy Refractor to up our amount of dirtily non-creature artifacts. Makes our Mightstone's animation better, and now also makes our Levitating Statue better. And all these random dirtily artifacts also improve Saheeli's +1 ability, make it easier to do the Scry plus card draw off of it. So very synergistic looking deck today. This is going to be a fun one. And here's our really jankety pack back to us here. We got the good blue and red cards back, so that's nice. We'll take Machine over Matter. I don't think Blast Runner is going to be panning out as well. Now we'll take Whirling Strike. Don't think I want to curate that badly. Blast Runner versus Sibling Rivalry. When I've already passed up on 2 Strong Bulls, I'm unlikely to be able to have enough to justify running Sibling Rivalry, so I'll grab another Blast Runner here. Just not going to have ways to sacrifice whatever I steal from my opponents. Take some random jank at the end of the pack. Really late Whirling Strikes. My last pick, Sibling Rivalry? Jeez. See what we've opened up for pack 3. Pack 3, pick 1. We have really, really, really good cards here, and I don't think I'm going to wheel any of them. The 3 cards we really want are the Penregan Strong Bull, the Mishra's Research Desk, and the Visions of Phyrexia. Pretty sure I gotta just take Visions of Phyrexia here. Massive card draw engine, drawing you essentially an extra card every turn by exiling the top card of your library, letting you play it. And anytime you don't play whatever you're exiling, you're also getting Power Stones, which can be valuable. Well, Mishra's Research Desk is the kind of quicker, cheaper card draw, but it is only 2 card draw, still really good. And then Strong Bull, of course, goes with our Blast Runners and our Dirtly stuff. Even Mishra's Bauble's pretty good here. Excellent pack there. Speaking of excellent packs, we get past an on-color rare. That's a pretty good one, and we will take it. This is a 4-mana instant to basically get a creature with power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts you control, scry 1 and draw a card. It does come into play tapped, which is a bit of a bummer, but this is kind of like a better version of like Seraph's Packmate if you've been drafting any call time lately, and that card is really, really good. And this card's way more flexible as well. You don't have to just make a construct and draw a card. Pretty happy to take that. Only thing I'm a little sad about is we are passing up on a Scrapwork Mutt, which is super good, but still an excellent addition to our deck. Being added there. Now a second Mightstone's animation. We drafted a lot of cards to work with this, so we're really set up to make it go well. Again, sorry, Strongbow Blast Runner themes. I'm going to be more on the levitating statue Milestones animation end of things with this deck. Now we have a Bitter Reunion, which is fine. I do already have a Stern Lesson for card draw. I don't think I'm red enough for Cliff Stomper to be great. So it's really Bitter Reunion, Cliff Stomper, or Power Plant Worker. So I actually have an Assembly Worker to draw off of my Self-Assembler. I think I'll just take that Power Plant Worker, make sure I have that role filled. I could do another Evolving Wilds, but we're getting to a point where it's likely we just end up cutting the Blast Runners. Energy Refractor versus Cinder Maw. Another really difficult choice. I think animation's good enough without another Powerstone Refractor right now. Kind of want to just take another Cinder Maw. Yeah, it's pretty good for our mana curve, seeing as we only have one 3-mana card right now, and Cinder Maw is an incredible 3-mana card. Just grab the second there. Another Scrapwork Mutt is pretty beautiful. Act 3, pick 6. Only really competing with Stern Lesson. I'll take the Mutt. Could splash in an Evangel of Synthesis, or just play an Unleash Shell. I don't have a lot of removal right now. I have 2 Explosions. That's about it. 2 Explosion and 1 Weakstone Subjugation. I think I could use more removal to take the Unleash Shell here. Another Rock Hunter to just really be curving out all day long. I don't think I'm going to play 2 Desynchronizes, so sure. Now I do get 1 Strongbow. We get at least 1 Strongbow, again with all these dirtily non-creature artifacts, as well as a little bit of Powerstone production. I think Strongbow will play better than the Conscripted Infantry. 1,000,000 copies of Rock Hunters here. Better than Bulwarker's Cliff Stomper, I think. Another Strongbow. Okay, I guess we do get to keep some Blast Runners in here. If we've got double Strongbow, double Blast Runner, they will help each other out a lot. Take the Bitter Reunion or the Cliff Stomper. The Reunion works with the Blast Runners and gives us a little bit of card draw. I might be getting red enough to use Cliff Stomper. Splash Blue? No, I'm actually going to go Bitter Reunion. Got a double blue card I really want to play, so I don't think I'm really going to be splashing. I've got 2 Strongbows, so I could go for Rivalry, but I think I'm just going to go Swift Spear. Get very, very aggressive here. Or the most aggressive blue-red deck I've drafted in this format. This is going to be a fun one. Yeah, let's build this beauty. Okay, so here we are now in the deck building. We need to cut 16 cards. That's kind of a lot. I only have 17 creatures right now. 17 being kind of the top end for a nice aggro deck like this. But I have 17 creatures with 2 Milestones animation, 1 Levitating Statue. Kind of makes it 20 creatures. Urza's Command makes it kind of like 21. Healy also produces creatures, making it sort of like 22 creatures, which means I could cut 5 creatures out of this deck. I think I want to go really low to the ground with this, in which case, if I'm cutting 5 creatures, Chain Dancer is the worst creature in the deck. Just the worst rate, and then I could just cut the 5 drops, and we could end up cutting a few lands, maybe being a 15 land kind of deck here. So cut these 3. Probably cut 1 of the Rock Hunters over anything else. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Still basically 18, so still a really high creature count. Seems good to me. So we need to cut 12 non-creatures here. It's gonna be so hard to make room. Got the most expensive spells. If we're going to be this low to the ground, we're not getting any value from Power Stones, but Vision still basically draws us an extra card each turn. Kind of on the borderline here. But I'm not certain on it. Yeah, it's going to be tremendously difficult to find room to cut 12 more cards. I think I will immediately cut the Synchronized Rivalry. 2 lands drop down to 15. Some tricks or some card draw, some bounce. Still want to keep a lot of these artifacts for the double Mightstones animation and the levitating statue to be better. We do have, again, a lot of random non-creature cards that are sort of working like creatures. I could maybe cut a couple more creatures, rock hunters over anything else, and spend turn 2 just playing dirtily rocks. We don't really get to be as aggressive, putting as much early game pressure on our opponent, but when we start curving out on 3 and 4 with Cinder Maws into animations, we're still beating down, even if we're skipping 2 drops. Actually seems like a reasonable plan. Turn 1, drop a creature. Turn 2, drop a card draw little rock, just some kind of non-creature thing. Turn 3, play a creature. Turn 4, animate the rock or place a Healy or something. Yeah, I don't think the Whirling Strike combat tricks are going to fit into that curve super well. I think we have good enough card draw without Bitter Reunion between Saheeli, Stern Lesson, and all of the cantrips. And cut that, drop the Rock Hunters. And then we just need to cut 1 more, or 2 more cards. Soul Guide Lantern is the worst of our dirtily mana rocks, because the star fixes our mana and draws a card. And draws a card no matter how it dies, whereas Soul Guide Lantern just is graveyard hate and only draws us a card when we sacrifice it. So Star works a lot better with Mightstone's animation and such. Anything else that works particularly poorly in terms of our dirtily mana rocks? No, the rest of them are all, draw a card when they hit the board, then turn them into a dork. Yeah. Cut the Soul Guide Lantern. 1 more cut. I guess I could cut the Unleash Shell so that my curve completely stops at 4 mana. I still have 2 Explosion, Machine Over Matter, and Subjugation to toy around with my opponent's field. Just hope that that's enough. It's kind of reasonable. One of these 2. I think I will cut the Unleash Shell, just stop at 4 mana here, and we've got a real aggressive blue-red Saheeli deck. Looks like a super fun one. Alright, here's a look at the completed deck for today. This is a blue-red aggro deck featuring a ton of just incidental card draw, a bunch of cantrip-style effects to keep us fueled and keep us going. We have Scrapwork Mutts letting us discard a card, draw a card, Combat Couriers that cycle away to draw a card, then unearth and do it again. We have all of these random artifacts that draw a card when they hit the board or when they die. And we have some really fun non-creature spell synergies with Mightstone's animation, animating all those artifacts, Levitating Statue getting bigger whenever we cast any of those artifacts, and Saheeli letting us tap them to draw additional cards. We also have Urza's Command here, making a construct with power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts we control. That's another good way to use all those random non-creature artifacts. And we've got a little bit of Powerstone production to also help the Mightstone's animations and the construct be bigger, with 2 Excavation Explosions and a Stern Lesson here. So pretty fancy blue-red kind of artifact-focused aggro deck. Looks like it's going to be a pretty fun one, especially with the bomb Planeswalker Saheeli at the top end of the curve. Let's just get into the gameplay and see how it does. Here we are for game 1 on the play. We've got a turn 1 Blast Runner into a turn 3 Cindermaw. That's got to put the fear of God in our opponent. Their life will flash before their eyes. We don't have much follow-up right now, but again, it's a scary looking start. We did draw into a Saheeli now if we hit our 4th mana in time. And unfortunately, Scrapwork Mutt a little awkward there. Drawing that on turn 3 instead of turn 2, but it'll still be good here. Playing against black-red, looks like a dedicated black-red sack deck since they do go for Junkyard Genius here. Scrapwork Mutt, try to hit the land for all these powerful 4-mana plays. I might even discard the Subjugation since we're on the aggressive already. It's basically another 4-mana play. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to discard Animation, though. It's either Animation or Subjugation. Hard decision between the two. I'll actually... I'll discard the Subjugation here, see what we get. Strongbow is the draw. Last turn, there's Excavation Explosion. Feels like the play to me. See what they have up here, if it's anything that'll save a Junkyard Genius. It's not, so attack with everybody, see what they got. Nothing. Take it all, go down to 7. Feels like a good position to be in here. Emergency Weld back the Junkyard Genius and play it as a blocker here, so they have a 1/1 and a 2/2 blocker. Got another Excavation Explosion now. I could use that to their face to finish the game, so I'd actually rather just Strongbow and sack my Powerstone to trigger Goblin Blast Runner right now. And we're just trying to get them to 3. And if we do, Excavation Explosion will do some nasty stuff. I think they're just dead if they block like that. They are just dead on board. Really disgusting stuff from our giant Cinder Maw primarily there. Opponent just did not have the cheap removal or enough blockers to play quickly enough. So we're just going to get a quick victory in game 1. Heading into round 2 now. Heading into round 2 now. Here we are for game 2. 2 Goblin Blast Runners. If we make it to 3 mana, we have the Strongbow and the Powerstone token to make those hit really hard. So we are going to keep this hand. Of course, if we draw a blue source, we can also use the Stern Lesson to get a Powerstone to sacrifice to the Strongbow. Recruitment Officer turn 1 from our opponent. We will offer the trade. Alright, then we'll play another Strongbow and we will be prepared to block if they send that in, because this is just a ridiculously good card. It's a 2-power creature for 1 mana for aggro decks that doubles as a mana sink to make sure they keep drawing. Keep drawing creatures late in the game if they have nothing else to do. Sigil of Valor from our opponent. An Elsewhere Flask for us to buff the Blast Runners and look for a land. There is the land. Just buff the Blast Runners here. Yeah, I don't really need the mana fixing at any time. We'll just put them down to 12. There's a Scrapwork Mutt from our opponent. They're going to discard a card and draw a card. Looks like we're both stuck on mana right now. We hit our 3rd land off of our card draw. They did not off of theirs. So they are still stuck on 2 mana. Drop a Cinder Maw here. Or Explosion the Mutt. If I Explosion, I get a Powerstone down so I can Strongbow and sack it next turn, which is tempting. I feel like just a Cinder Maw is just so scary instantaneously on this board. Blast Runner for Mutt is not a horrible trade. Not an excellent one, but definitely not a bad one. Not going for the Blast Runner game anymore. Try to get Cinder Maw in. Alright, opponent has all 3 colors, I'm guessing all 3 colors that they're running. They could be running more. Prison Sentence, turn 3. That is unfortunate. Cinder Maw, a lot less good when it can't attack or block. Our opponent still can't gain life, but I don't think that'll be incredibly relevant. But who knows? 4 mana, I can play one of my 3 mana spells or my levitating statue. I can't play 2 spells this turn. If I get a Powerstone this turn, I could open up to casting 2 spells next turn. So if I Explosion or Stern Lesson this turn, but neither of those really affect the board that much. I almost feel like I just don't want to play one of those. Levitating Statue doesn't affect the board this turn, but it affects the board a lot next turn. Kind of like Statue into Animation next turn. Kind of rough though. I mean, Strongbowl's the best way to immediately impact the board. Could be on that. Explosion gives us the ability to just either cast 2 spells next turn or animate the Powerstone. Yeah, I guess I will actually Explosion here, weirdly enough. Now next turn I can go Statue plus one of these, or I can animate the Powerstone still to have a 4/4 attacking them immediately. Okay. Could play Strongbow and sack the Powerstone, shoot them a lot. I think I like Statue plus Strongbow, just getting a setup turn here. Preparing to do some pretty devastating things next turn to the opponent who is at 10 life. Conscripted infantry on the ground. Not great for our blast runner. Oh, that is not a good attack for our opponent. Now they're just dead. We are good then. Right, because we hit for 5 in the sky, 3 on the ground, 1 from Strongbow. I guess they're not quite dead. I animate the statue. It's going to be a 5/5 flyer. Blast Runner's going to hit for 3 guaranteed when we sack this Powerstone. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're going to go to 1. And then we just Explosion them next turn. It's probably the game plan. Probably the game plan. As long as they don't lethal me next turn, we're definitely killing them. Next swing. I was incredibly close to lethal, so maybe there was a way to find lethal here. If they have like a Scrapwork Cohort, I guess we die. But I don't think anything else kills us. Scrapwork Cohort, though, with the Vanguard will give it +4/+0, then the Sigil gives it +4. We know they can't gain life. Okay, Scrapwork Mutt is bad for us. Is that actually just lethal on board? Did I miss lethal on board? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're 1 damage off. They have to play another creature. I guess I should have just not attacked with Strongbow. Yep, now we're dead. Dying to a Sigil of Valor. Feels bad. Whoa! Oh no, our opponent... Well, we punted that game with the Strongbow attack, but luckily our opponent reverse punted and just missed the onboard lethal. Again, we might have had lethal earlier as well because we got them down to 1 there. If I found 1 more damage on any earlier turn, or maybe there was a different order to cast the spells there that would have found it. I'm not certain. But what I do know for sure is we should have kept the Strongbow back, because just by reanimating the Mutt, they already had very close to lethal with the Vanguard's ability and the Sigil. Oh! Oh no! Okay. Never mind. Never mind, I misread the sigil. This is only when it attacks alone. But I probably still should have held the Strongbow back to play around Scrapwork Cohort, because that would have been super bad for us. That would have given this +4 +0, then the sigil would have been +1, 2, 3, 4. So +8 total, hit for 10. So if they had Scrapwork Cohort and the mana to unearth the Scrapwork Mutt, they could have killed us. Either way, I should have recognized these two abilities together. Very, very scarily close to actually swinging back for lethal. But yeah, I did misread the Sigil of Valor there, so I guess it wasn't as risky as I thought, but we did go down to 2 life there. Pretty close to dead. Either way, we do get the victory in the end. We are going to be 2-0 heading into Game 3. Here we are now for Game 3. Basically playing a control deck with this hand. It's really not what our deck wants to do. Our curve stops at 4 mana pretty much. I think we have to take the mulligan here despite having all of our colors and a removal spell ready. It's not the kind of hand that's going to get anywhere. Dirtle around a little bit. We are on the draw here, so mulligans are going to be a little bit less painful. Immediately drawing on our first turn. Our opponent kept, but I will take a mulligan here. This is definitely better. Courier into Cindermaw. Animation for later, maybe. We ditch the Strongbow here. Make sure I have the 3 mana in hand for everything in the hand to be castable, as well as to be closer to casting animation. Our opponent starts with a turn 1 Monastery Swiftspear. Now let's drop Combat Courier and pass. Go for turn 2 Evolving Wilds. Boros from our opponent, red and white. Hits in for another damage. We're down to 18. We now have a Saheeli once we hit 4 mana. And I'm going to play around Ambush Paratrooper here. I would rather not my Combat Courier die for nothing. Opponent has a deck that's playing Monastery Swiftspear, which means they're quite likely to be running tons of 2 mana creatures as well. So the odds of them not having a 2 mana creature aren't super high. Which means this could very well be an Ambush Paratrooper for a flash 1/2 flyer. And I think our opponent might be busy with something else or double queuing or something like that, because this is the second time they've gone to the rope already, so this game's going to be a bit edited. Well, they went full to time here, so now they can't do Ambush Paratrooper. Okay, they can do Paratrooper, never mind. I was going to say, I thought that the clock went all the way down where they couldn't play anything, even if they had Paratrooper. I was wrong. However, I was also wrong that they had Paratrooper. They don't have it here. So they just didn't have a 2-drop creature. Here's an Airlift Chaplain on turn 3. Mills 3 picks up another Airlift Chaplain, most likely. Yep. Now Swiftspear hits for 1 again. We're down to 17. Let's grab our blue source. Subjugate Swiftspear. Just play Cindermaw. We're likely just playing Cindermaw here. Pass the turn. Could chip in for 1, offering the trade for the flyer, but I don't actually think I like that trade very much when I have a Saheeli to make 2 1/1 flyers that can just completely nullify 2 1/1 flyers from our opponent. That's definitely a trick to kill Cindermaw. No blocks, take 2. And they play Airlift Chaplain number 2. Yep, there's Airlift Chaplain number 2. Milled a scrapwork cohort, that's pretty good. And a goblin blast runner to the hand. Okay, we did not hit the Saheeli mana. Unfortunate. Explosion, or I can subjugate. I think I would rather explosion. Probably exploding the Swift Spear again because Saheeli gets us 2 flyers to block these chaplains. I'll hold up my instant for now in case something weird happens. I am choked on mana enough though, because we are a deck that's pretty low on lands, that I actually will offer the trade of Courier for Chaplain, just because I'm not really gonna want to spend the 2 mana to cycle it anytime soon anyway. Alright, so now we have Subjugation up. We could spend the blue and then spend the 3 mana using the Powerstone, but we need to hit another land to play Animation or Saheeli. Recommission on Swift Spear, that is not great for us. And we're just going to hold it as a blocker here. Interesting, we draw a Strong Bull. Just subjugate the Swift Spear and send in again with Cindermaw. Try to just keep racing. Seems fine. If their combat trick is Whirling Strike, they can still Whirling Strike Cindermaw when we attack in. But if they have a Whirling Strike, they can do that when we block either, so Cindermaw's useless at any time. Yeah, if it's just going to get Whirling Striked away, that's going to happen on attacks or blocks, and it doesn't really matter. So we cross our fingers, hope it isn't a Whirling Strike, but this block means it almost definitely is. It seems good here. Guess I could have waited for Machine over Matter there, but I can't wait that long here. They're starting to pressure a lot of damage into us. Down to 7. Really needed that 4th mana here. Maybe we should be running a little more lands. Have to look up the odds after this. Just double check and see statistically what exact number of lands we should be running. But get punished pretty hard by the mana base this game. The Sigil of Valor is just going to eat us up, throw it on a Chaplain, attack with just one of them each turn. And I only have the mana to do one thing, none of which are impactful enough to slow them down enough to win. We die in 2 swings here, regardless of our play. Guess I just hold up the Machine over Matter and draw a card off Courier. Maybe I can get a Saheeli down and get 2 1/1 Thopters. So I can chump block the Flyers at the very least when they throw the Sigil on them. Frontliner, that is not good for me, because even if I kill the Frontliner, it can come back from the grave. Well, they didn't put a Sigil on something, so I can just bounce the 1/1 Soldier. I think I'm going to cycle the Courier now regardless, so we might as well stop 1 point of damage with it. Oh, well, that's obviously not good, but we're not dead at least. Jeez. 15 cards deep, 3 lands, 15 out of 40. Yeah, that was just a rough one. Mana-wise, I'm gonna go look up the limited mana base odds here and see if we should run any more lands or we just got a bit unlucky there. Alright, I'm taking another look at the deck here and reconsidering mana base, maybe moving up to 16 lands instead of 15. But I think 15 is where we want to be. We have 6 4-mana cards in the entire deck. So the vast majority of our hands don't desperately need to hit 4 mana on turn 4. There's just that hand was a little top heavy with a lot of 4s. Yeah, 6 in the whole deck. And the statistics on a 15 land deck, according to Frank Karsten, who's done some data tables on this that you can use in reference, is that we have 76.2% chance of hitting our 4th land on turn 4 on the draw, and a 65.8% on the play, which is not that bad at all. The coin flip's slightly weighted in our favor on the play. I think I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with missing the 4th land drop a couple turns in a row on average. I think that game was just a little bit of an outlier with multiple 4s in hand and decent amount of pressure from our opponent. And then we just didn't hit the land drop even like 7, 8 turns into the game, so I'm pretty cool with running it back here. I just wanted to make sure I did my due diligence and did a double check here. Well, that's just gonna happen sometimes. We are gonna get punished for running a lower land count on occasion. And that is our game 3 loss, so see if we can turn things around heading into game 4. Here we are now on the play for game number 4. We've got a strongbow with an explosion to get a Powerstone for it. I'm going to keep this. We obviously need a blue source, but we know what we're doing. Getting a strongbow down and blowing up whatever cheap card our opponent wants to play. Drawing another mountain here. Horned Stone Seeker from our opponent. I'm just going to explode that immediately to get their Powerstone out of the picture, as well as their 2/2 with Menace. And thanks to the Powerstone, I'll have the mana to play both Strongbow and Elsewhere Flask next turn, which is quite nice. Our opponent's on mono red so far, that's kind of wild. Can be a very scary, very aggressive deck. Luckily we killed their great aggro 2-drop, but they do have a Penregan Strongbow to follow it up. And I guess we're mono red as well today. We'll drop the Elsewhere Flask first, see what we get. Should have done that before I played land so I could play Island if I drew it, but I can still play Island next turn, discard the Mountain to Stern Lesson. Experiencing a little bit of the opposite of last game now. We have 6 lands already, turn 4 in hand. But Stern Lesson can really help us with that. We get to ditch one of these lands to draw 2 other cards. Yeah, if they want to combat trick my Strongbow, they got it. Well, it's the only creature I have right now. And I have a Machine Over Matter to protect it, because I'm going to be holding up Stern Lesson anyway. Giant Cindermaw is the play. And another land, 7th land for us this game. Yeah, we are really flipping the script this time. Trade my Strongbow into the Cindermaw here, bounce it when they try to use a combat trick. Could also kill their Strongbow without losing a creature, which feels better. I think I will do that. And either way, we were going to force them to use the combat trick here. Like, if I block Cindermaw, they actually don't have to use the trick. They could just let the trade happen and it would be fine. Whirling Strike? We're going to do that before I even sack something, so now I don't even have to sack the Powerstone here. Machine over matter, the strong bowl. We're going to sack the flask to get blue and then cast Stern Lesson. Bone Saw. Can give a creature +1/+0 for 1 mana. They are not going to equip though. They're holding up something for double red. Alright. Drawn our 8th land this game. And a Mightstone's Animation. Ooh, a Blast Runner to go with Strongbow? Don't mind if I do, but first and foremost, let's animate one of these 4/4s. See what we draw into and start beating down. We draw into Saheeli, beautiful one. Drop a Blast Runner. Send in for 6, they're down to 14, and pass the turn. Can trade Blast Runner into Cindermaw on blocks unless they have a second combat trick. Seems reasonable to me, even if they combat trick. It's going to soak up some of their mana, and then we just get to lead with Saheeli next turn. Obliterating Bolt. They're about to exile my Powerstone anyway, so I might as well sack that one to buff the Blast Runner. Now their own Penrigan Strongbow. They are not going to offer the trade of Cindermaw for Blast Runner. Land number 9, let's go, RNGesus. I guess we have dug pretty deep. We do draw a lot of cards with this deck. We're making Thopters and then just defending Saheeli with our non-Thopter creatures. Because I can block the 4/3 with a 3/4, that with that. Although if they put the Bonesaw on Cindermaw, it's a 5-power Trampler, which gets through Strongbow, and then Saheeli dies. Maybe I do just draw cards here? Dig for more gas. Seems fine as well. And then it's much harder to kill the Saheeli.
It's so sad. This plane's beauty is inspiring.
Okay, now I have a Mightstone's Animation to play next turn. 2 relatively chunky blockers to protect Saheeli. I guess it's only because I can threaten to buff Strongbow, but I'm not going to want to buff Strongbow because I want to play Animation on this Powerstone. Yeah, that's pretty unwanted. Two cards in their hands, so they can probably play follow-up blockers here. If they couldn't, then it would be super reasonable to just animate the Powerstone and attack back and try to race. It's going to be tremendously hard to save Saheeli. I have to block Cindermaw with Strongbow, lose my artifact so that animation doesn't get put on anything. Saheeli still gets trampled for 1 by Cindermaw. Strongbow hits for 2. Saheeli takes 3 down to 1 loyalty. I can't minus Saheeli anyway. I guess I just let them kill Saheeli here. Although if I go Blast Runner on Strongbow, force them to sack the Bonesaw to kill my... or to save their Strongbow. If they have combat tricks in hand, this just goes really badly though. I'm just gonna hope they have combat tricks in hand. They don't get to play follow-up creatures, and then we animation and do some great stuff. Do some great work here.
I was all flash.
Juggernaut. That is not a combat trick. That is a super big blocker. There's a Cinder Maw of our own, but let's get our animation down. Can trade my 4/4 into the 5/3, and then they can just unearth it later. Gotta draw into something else here to come ahead still. Just kind of wild. I have drawn 11 lands this game, so... Or no, I've drawn 10, so there's 5 left. 25% of the deck is lands, so we have a lot of action we can draw into. 75% chances at non-lands from now on. Okay, they have Strongbow with 3 artifacts out. A big yike. Lose my whole board to put them down to just Strongbow and Strongbow and Swift Spear here. Strongbow threatens so much damage if I let it in. Yeah, I don't think we have an out to this. There's just too much damage coming in over the next 2 turns. However we block here. Six life. Strongbow can shoot us in the face for 3 no matter what. I can't crack back at all. I attack with this and play this, I get trampled over plus Strongbow to dead. I might even still die even if I don't attack. I do have 2 Scrapwork Mutts in this deck. I forgot because I have not drawn a single one in any of these games. I had to make a quick peek through the deck to see if I need to hold this mountain in hand or not. I was about to play it, and then I was like, wait a sec, I do have 2 Scrapwork Mutts, so I should not play it. Yeah, I think we actually just still die here. It's the most damage we can stop. I guess technically double blocking Juggernaut stops the same amount of damage as blocking Swift Spear. I stop 5 damage by double blocking there. I stop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by blocking spreading out like this. Yeah, this is the max damage we can block either way. Yikes. Another combat trick off the top from our opponent does make us tremendously dead on board. That is going to be 2 and 2. Just pretty unfortunate stuff these last 2 games. 2 very different ends of the spectrum in terms of land draws. Neither of them particularly good for us. Getting into game number 5. Here we are now for game number 5. Our opponent is on the play. We are on the draw, starting with a Goblin Blast Runner. Opponent is on black-green with Blanchwood Prowler. Black-green-white, it looks like, and they are going to grab the plains from the Blanchwood Prowler. Got both of my colors. I'm going to Elsewhere Flask, sack it, and just hit for 3. Or do I want to just Energy Refractor and get an artifact that's going to sit around on board? I think I'll get the one that's going to sit around because I've got an Urza's Command coming up. Like to have as many artifacts on board for. Thraxidemon from our opponent is pretty great with little 1/1s like Blanchwood Prowler. And it stops Blast Runner from attacking unless I sack something here. Could go for Stern Lesson. But I can also just cycle an Elsewhere Flask hit with Blast Runner and then play a Chromatic Star. Save the Stern Lesson for later. Go for Urza's Command for now. Seems reasonable to me. Ooh, Swift Spear's the draw. Guess we'll actually play Swift Spear then. That one's obviously not attacking though. So Urza's Command for us is going to be 4 mana for a 2/2, scry 1 and draw a card. Then we can follow it up next turn with Chromatic Star to make it a 3/3. Emergency Weld from our opponent puts a 1/1 on their board to sack Thraxidemon and to block with. And picks up this Iron Claw Crusher they milled earlier. So that could be spooky. I guess I could Urza's Command so they can't kill my stuff. I think I would rather just be able to Urza's Command, scry 1, draw a card, and still not lose a creature. I might as well hit for 1 more damage here. I don't think they're going to change the mode I want to do based on their play. And I will draw a Mightstone's animation. That's a good one. I've drawn a Scrapwork Mutt here, which is nice and fancy. But I think I'm playing the land and doing 5 mana worth of stuff here. Playing Chromatic Star. They are holding up an instant. Could just be Thraxidemon's ability, though. Hopefully not an instant speed artifact removal spell. It is not. We do get to draw a card from animation, even if they kill the Refractor. Now, don't think I send the Construct in, because they can kind of ruin our constructs pretty easily. If they have like an instant speed way to kill Refractor, they turn this into a 2/2. And they just like do 1-for-1 trade or block with these two. And if they have a way to get the Chromatic Star off the board, they can even make this a 1/1. So I think I attack with just these two. Alright, chump block, draw card it is. We hit them down to 11. Next turn I can Scrapwork Mutt, discard the mountain, and then have Stern Lesson at instant speed to make a Powerstone, make this bigger out of nowhere. Prison Sentence on Energy Refractor it is, it can't attack or block, and our opponent gets to scry 2. Draw another Scrapwork Mutt, that is pretty cool. Alright, play this pre-combat to buff the construct. Okay, now I can buff the construct and Swift Spear. An instant speed trick. They could double block and kill Swift Spear. Okay, we'll go Stern Lesson. Probably discard the other Mutt because it can unearth unlike the rest of the hand. Gaia's Gift here. Sure thing, you got it. We'll still hit for 5, put them down to 6. I could discard an island or a combat courier now. I think I'd rather do than Scrapwork Mutt. 4 mana for Visions, 2 mana for Mutt next turn. Yeah, I think we discard courier. Use all 6 mana next turn. Can even play the land now in case I draw into another land I need to play. Do 7 mana worth of stuff. The Trench Stalker. It's going to be very big if they can draw another card, gain life here. Okay, we do have a 7th land. Or even more mana stuff if I want to. So let's go Courier. Feel like I'm probably gonna just Mutt discard this mountain draw card. Buff the construct again. Draw Penrigan's Strongbow. Could already just sack the star for mana to buff Blast Runner and give Menace. Yeah, let's go Chromatic Star for white for fun. Buff the Blast Runner. Then I'll lock down the potential life linker. Gaia's Gift on it. That is unfortunate. So what do they do now? Lock the 6/6 there. Block the 2/1, block the 1/1. Probably play Cinder Moss, they can't gain life with that on a future turn, and just attack with everybody. Anyway. Yeah. Oh no, I forgot the whole thing with the constructs again. But luckily our opponent doesn't seem to realize it either. Okay, thank goodness. Yeah, we could have gotten super punished. This is just a reasonable block that I would have just expected in the first place. That's fine. Yeah, what could have went really bad for us with the construct is they could actually block it with just Trench Stalker, and as long as they kill another artifact, it'll just die post-combat because the construct becomes a 5/5 instead of a 6/6. Because it retroactively loses power and toughness as we lose artifacts. So they could have gone just Trench Stalker on my 5/5, just Thraxidemon on a 2/1, and put a 1/1 on the 1/1. So they're at 2 life, we just need to hit them with 1 creature to get there. I could also just Strongbow them for 2. Just Strongbow. Simple. Make it super easy. And there we go, we are 3-2, at least getting a 50-50 run this time, getting 1,000 gems back out of the event. But let's head into round number 6. where there's some big gems on the line. This is the difference between breaking even, pretty much, or losing out on 400 gems. So fingers crossed, doing our best in round 6. Alright, here we are in round 6 with what looks like just a solid mono red aggro deck. Goblin Blast Runner turn 1, Strongbowls and Explosions turn 3. Just what you want in your red decks in the format. Alright, opponent is on Boros. Pretty likely to just Strongbow their first blocker and just get in for 7 damage this turn. If they don't have their own removal, they do. Alright, we'll play another Strongbow then. Falaji Vanguard, I will happily explode that. I'll hold on to the 6th land, but I will play the 5th here so I can hold up Machine Over Matter. But probably best to just immediately slam in. No, because the Menace could be valuable on a later turn. We'll keep the Powerstone around for now. Play their own Strongbow. Put it back to their hand, hit again. Seems reasonable to me. Could also hold on to Machine Over Matter to play when they try to combat trick or something. Chromatic Star is the draw. I am pretty happy to just cycle that out to the Strongbow. Elsewhere Flask also. Draw another card. Oh, and an Urza's Command. 4. For 8 if I sack the Powerstone here. But if I leave it around, the construct can be bigger. Ambush Paratrooper is the play. Now the Strongbow is back. And another Strongbow alongside it. Excavation Explosion. Put my opponent to 4 life with 3 artifacts on the board and a Strongbow. And the Urza's Command to get the next artifact. If they don't play any life gain, just exploding their face is an incredibly viable play this turn. And I think I'm just going to go for it. And we just cross our fingers, hope they don't gain any life next turn. Ride our Strongbow all the way to victory, potentially. An attack here is also actually kind of decent, because they have to block with every single one of their creatures if I give Blast Runner Menace. Our Strongbow goes up to 6 toughness, which they couldn't kill. There's an Aeronaut Cavalry that doesn't gain them life. Hit us for 2 with Paratrooper. Last card is Aeronaut's Wings, which also does not gain them life, so Strong Bull is going to win us the game here. Put them to 1, play Urza's Command, and shoot them for the final 1 damage. Even get 2 artifacts off Urza's Command, so we can shoot them for 2 more if we need to. But there we go. We are now 4-2, breaking even in this draft. A very nice recovery after some early losses here. Here we are, time for game 7. This is kind of a weird hand. I could see mulliganing it, trying to hit some of our more cheap creatures. But I can just play Evolving Wilds turn 1 and set up a Levitating Statue on turn 2 and then just dirtle around with my mana rocks until the statue's super, super big. Seems like a pretty fun game plan, something different than what I've been working on lately. So I'm going to keep it here. It definitely has the chance of panning out pretty poorly for us if our opponent has the cheap artifact removal. But we'll see. See how it does here. Okay, we've got a Cinder Maw to play turn 3 now as well. I'm tempted to just go Mutt into Cinder Maw instead at this point. No double red cards in the deck, but I do have the 1 double blue rare. Oh, I do have the 1 double red rare as well. I don't know what I Mutt away. I'm pretty sure I Mutt away a land here. But I could see playing Mutt to trade into Engineer, let them have the Powerstone. Just get blocks going. Curve out with creatures at first. I've got the Chromatic Stars, so I guess it doesn't matter too much which land we discard. And I've just naturally drawn a bunch of creatures, and I guess we'll just do the same thing we've been doing instead. I've got a Cinder Maw. I can outrace this Engineer. I'm wrong about just trading there. Probably am. They're running Powerstone Engineer, they can probably get some solid value from a Powerstone. Although it looks like they're blue-white soldiers mainly with some great cheap flyers. This could be an issue. And in the Mutt. Now here's a very big, very chunky blocker that keeps Powerstone Engineer off of us. Or they have Military Discipline in hand. Congratulations, I will not block. Zephyr Sentinel, we know they have, it's a 3-2. They can kill Cinder Maw with it, but only if they pick up Chaplain, which slows them down a good bit. I'm pretty fine with that. Trading my 4-3 trample into the 3-2 flyer and trampling over for a little bit. That seems okay to me. I guess they could play it and a Military Discipline. It's kind of rough. But it's kind of the same as the earlier game we had where Cinder Maw got combat tricked, where it's like, I mean, it's going to get tricked on attacks or blocks at some point, so dead either way. I could draw into Machine over Matter if I'm really lucky here. My 1 out. Yeah, if it doesn't happen, I fall so far behind anyway. Okay. Machine over Matter or bust? RIP. Machine over Matter would have been excellent there. Would have been really devastating to our opponent. Thopter. Just keeping the flyers coming. 2-3 flyer and they scry 2. Urza's command. Does not do anything about the flyers. Don't have... I guess I do with the mana play statue plus command. That's gotta be it then. That is my potential flyer. That is the exact right rare to ruin my giant trick here. I feel like I have to reduce their power here and then scry 1 draw. I don't think... I mean, I get a 5/5 on the board. Maybe I just don't draw the card. I feel like I have to reduce the power here because the alternative is to take 3, 4, 5, 6 or trade off my 1/1 levitating statue. Yeah, I guess I -2 their board and get the chunky blocker on the ground. Two mana to activate that. We have 6 mana right now. Four for Strongbowl, 2 for statue, 1 for Strongbowl's ability. Taking 5 in the sky from Thopter plus Sentinel. Just blue-white flyers being blue-white flyers, as it does. I'm gonna have to just try to make this thing bigger. Chump blocking here is not gonna save me, or just trading into Zephyr Sentinel. Okay, well, we were gonna lose this game. Regardless, Platoon Dispenser is a really busted card, even if you're not a white deck, and if you are, it's pretty much unbeatable. They get to draw an extra card during every one of their end steps. They also get to use this as a mana sink, and if it ever dies, they can unearth it and draw another card off of it later. Basically, imagine if Joda's Codex from Dominar United was a 4/6 that could make creatures and had an unearth ability. It's pretty good. It's animation for the flyer, but their board state is too wide now. And even if we do survive a few attacks, which we can't because their board state is too wide, they're still winning the game off Platoon Dispenser inevitably. But yeah, we're down board to the flyers alone. Alright. 4-3 it is. Some really nasty evasive threats from our opponent in the final game. Just going to curve out on us and kick us on out of it. 4 and 3, not bad at all. If I could 4 and 3 every draft, I'd be perfectly happy. Basically just breaking even and playing draft forever. A little bit of a bummer with this deck overall though, because this deck was doing some pretty fun things. They just didn't pan out incredibly well in all of the games. But 4 and 3 is still super respectable. Yeah, I'll take it. We got to do all the things we wanted to do. We did some blast runner kills. We got some Nightstone's animation value, and we got to put the animation on Levitating Statue in the last game, which was also pretty cool. So, not a bad run at all, especially for sick boy hours. So, I'll take it. We'll grab our 1400 gems and our 3 packs and move along. That is going to end today's video. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feeds. If you'd like to hang out with me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. I have not been streaming a lot this week just because of the general illness, but I will be back again next week with a lot of streams, most likely, especially for the launch of Phyrexia All Will Be One, which is hitting very soon, just a couple weeks now. You can also check out the Patreon channel in the link in the description below if you'd like to support the channel directly. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.